Okay, and we are recording here. My name is William Vincent Carleton, and what I'm planning on showing you tonight is about a half an hour of footage, most of which was taken in 2021. Two of the short films, which compose of about 25 minutes, 24 minutes or so, were taken in 2021 in August specifically. And the first film that we're going to watch was originally named Mexican Beauty, which I later changed the title to the Crucifixion. And as I was watching this film over time, it started to take additional meaning. But the way that it unfolded is something that I wanted to talk about today because I think it's very unique, the way that this film came about. And I had just purchased a Panasonic camera that was of high quality and could zoom, and I had it for maybe a few days. I'm still learning how to use it and very novice to the point where I still am actually today. However, I've become more proficient with other cameras. But as far as this Panasonic, it was the GH1. As far as that's concerned, the way that I was using it was I would try to zoom in and it would take a long time to zoom in. And why I'm prefacing this is because this film in itself is only 2 takes. There's 1 take in the beginning, and a few minutes in, there's another take where there's space in between the scene that you're watching, and then it pretty much carries through in a continuous shot where I'm mostly zoomed in most of the time and trying to hold the camera as still as I can freehand. And so it was kind of a test to see how long I could stand still while holding this camera. I'm trying to get as clean of a shot as I could, and also trying to capture this pretty unique and kind of devastating scene. I mean, it was one of the first times when I had really seen nature in its brutality in such a way. I couldn't believe it was actually happening. And if I hadn't taken time to really look at this with a close-up view with the camera, I probably would have overseen it as just specks of dust on the ground, because that's how small this really was. Anyway, I'm going to read to you the description that I had originally written on August 11th. I did all the editing. Basically, it was just 2 takes. So I took the 2 takes and I put it together, I think in iMovie. And I went to archive.org and I grabbed something from the Boston Symphony Orchestra by Tchaikovsky. It was just a random, I was looking for something that would be equivalent to the amount of footage. It ended up being 18 minutes exactly. And what ended up happening was it was perfectly synced with this film, which is pretty wild. So there were no edits done to the music. It was just what the music track is what you hear. It's the same thing that you will download off of archive.org. It was just dropped in its entirety, yet it aligned itself with these video clips in such a way that's so synchronistic that I can't even explain it. It to me seems like it's miraculous. So just to let you know in advance, what I discovered this really was a queen ant. What I originally thought was another type of ant that was just larger, it turns out it's a queen. And when the queen is dying, its spawn basically will try to attack her and pull her apart into a million pieces and consume her before picking a new one to continue the life of the hive. And so that's what this is in the middle of what's going on. And there came a point where I thought it was just too cruel and I didn't want to see it happen. So I went and got some neem spray, which is an insecticide, and I sprayed some of it on everything. And I was expecting the queen to kind of just drop dead along with everything else and just be done. But it turns out that the queen had this type of resilience and wanted to continue on, and did for a very long time. In any case, I will be talking to you about this as we go. And I'm going to go full screen now. And we're beginning the film. It's called The Crucifixion. It's a short film from 2021. And you'll find this on the Immortal Type YouTube page. So I'm going to start this now. You'll also find it on my Substack. This is where I'll be publishing. I'm going to start this in 3, 2, 1. Starting now. It's rolling. So like I said, it's a simple fade in, black and white. And what you're looking at in the beginning are a bunch of little ants holding this queen ant in one position by subduing all the limbs. And it's a real brutal scene. And you can tell I'm trying to hold the camera as still as possible while also getting focus. And it's because I'm a novice filmmaker at this point in time, and I'm also novice with the camera, and also very shocked with what I'm watching and trying to stand still and observe the craziness that is this. So the only cut that you're going to see is when I actually go and get the neem spray, which is a combination of water and neem oil, which is an Ayurvedic essential oil. So basically you're going to see some point where it cuts. It's the only cut. Now what you're looking at right here is pretty crazy. This part the ants are like picking apart the queen, trying their best to stabilize all of the limbs so that you can't move, and then at the same time do like this slow, terrible dismemberment. So it's like the brutality of nature on display right here. And that's why I find it's akin to the Crucifixion. It's very reminiscent of what happened to Jesus of Nazareth on the day of his crucifixion. And the moments leading up to it were absolutely brutal, in which he was flayed. It basically tried in such a horrific way to where Barabbas, this known rapist and murderer, is set free, and Jesus of Nazareth. We're backing up now. So here's my zoom out. So you can see the scale. Look at the wall on the side. Now you're going to see my feet. So it gives you an idea of scale. I wanted to see it for myself. I was like, I have to. So now that's the cut. So that's the only other cut. And you can see there's water all around. That's the neem oil with the water. And the queen ant is just kind of trying to shake it off, while the rest are just totally banged up by it and scattering. Yet, at the same time, you still have these ants that are trying to hang on to the back. They're just really determined, and they don't want to give up. So without further ado, watch this for a little bit so you can see what's happening and how the music cues from Tchaikovsky are actually spot on. At times it's kind of dramatic. Sometimes it's like dark humor or dark comedy. And it's just tragic all around. So you can see she's dragging this one that's hanging on for dear life itself, trying to subdue her and failing. So I started spraying here. You see the sprays, they're hitting just as the music cues. And now she's crawling through it. The other ant pieced out. And she's going now, considering she's just been sprayed with an insecticide. And it looks like there's like a barrier of either protection or the liquid oil itself is probably stuck around. But we're talking about a queen ant that I don't know for how long was fighting off these ants. Could have been a few hours, could have just been a few minutes, but it was enough time for her to be subdued in a place to where damage was done. And so you see the resilience and the determination. And by the way, location-wise, this is Mexico City. It's in Centro Histórico. This is where I was living in 2021 for the large majority of the year. And this year, during the heart of the pandemic, the height of it, I wrote every day 10 pages a day. Look at this. And the music changes just as she hits this part. Do, 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 do. And then there's this struggle with a zoom out and zoom back in. I'm like trying to figure this out. Because I can already see with my naked eye, I can see what's going on ahead, and I want to give you an idea of what's about to happen. That's like the beginning of the stations. And you can see the little creatures that she's going to encounter, and it's a cross. You see a lot of symbolism. That plant actually is a tobacco plant. That is a Virginia tobacco plant, which you will see later on in a different form, but I'm not going to tell you too much about it. You won't see it in this video, but you'll see it in Magdalena's Waltz at the end. And I'm not going to give you... There's mosquito on the left, just sitting there watching. And you can tell, you see this mosquito still there, just observing something else. It's kind of crazy. Mosquitoes in Mexico are the most resilient, determined creatures. Oh, the mosquito's drinking liquid because it's scarce. The climate in Mexico City is desert-like, but it's high altitude. You can tell right now that she's trying to just drag her body. That the back end is just dragging, and it's waterlogged. It's horrific, and probably being numbed and from the poison. So this is like a horrific scene. Now, people probably asking, why did I let this happen? Why didn't I just end it? I wanted to film something in nature that was what I believe to be a moment. And some would say this is like cruelty towards the insect. But once again, at scale, someone could, like myself with shoes on, could have easily walked outside, stepped on them, and not even know it. And they're that small. So, okay, here comes some ants. And now this one's just inspected and ran. It saw that, it probably sensed that there was neem oil there, and it was like, whoa, I got to get out of here. But now it's coming back. Ooh, and she tried to climb there, thinking this would be an opportunity, and that must have been painful. That was an attempted climb, and this is going to happen a few more times. There will be several attempted climbs, and I attribute them to the same way that Jesus fell with the cross. Very similar. Okay, so here's a curious ant coming around, checking it out, sensing the neem is like, whoa, hold on, this is poison. And the music cues, and you're thinking this is the end, right? Most people are, like myself, I was thinking this has got to be the end. It's the last moment. And here's one seemingly last attempt to maybe crawl or escape. And now she's just circling. And you're thinking it's probably the end. More circling. And then there's this additional boost of energy. Still dragging, but an additional boost. Now here comes the curious ant, figures out, oh, this is the queen, and it's thinking, okay, I'm going to stop this. We got to stop this here. So it's holding on, breaks free, and now the queen is gaining momentum. Just left something behind, whatever it was, maybe a part of her music cue changes, right on cue. That ant just about grabs on, tries to, misses its chance, and now she's over. And look at the movement now. Passed through the trenches, and now it seems like a completely new ant. Completely revitalized. So when I was watching this, I was just astounded at this point. Not even sure what to believe. And I just kept filming. And this to me, it's pretty tragic. It's reminiscent of the wall in Game of Thrones. The wall in the north. Scale. There's the tobacco plant, and the wall ends up at the top, so hence it's very reminiscent of the Game of Thrones wall, ice wall. And here's how the journey's going thus far. Slow and steady. and steady. That's what I try to keep telling myself with the camera. And the focus goes out, and this is the cue as the focus goes out. There's the fall. Oof. Second one. And then an ant comes over. He's thinking, this is an opportunity, but I'm out of here. No thanks. And then something crazy happens. I try to help by grabbing a leaf of tobacco. Oh, I forgot. This is... In the Crucifixion, there are 3 falls. It's just agonizing. This is... And by the way, these ants, they're eukaryotes. They have the same cellular structure as human beings as far as the cells. The same cells. So this is part of the same family as us. To give you more of a feeling of closeness. It's the idea, to have more compassion towards all creatures. And I know that must sound strange for me to say, considering I filmed this, but it was a moment. That's all I can say. Once again, we get a look at scale. And here, it's like God's intervention. The big Godzilla stomps. I wasn't planning it, but it looks like this. It's like I have to intervene. This is too much. Can't take it anymore. I don't want to look at this. I grab a leaf of tobacco to try to motivate this ant. Give it energy. I take the leaf, got it in hand, you can see my reflection there, and if you look in the water, filming, got the leaf in hand, and now she's motivated after a little nudge, almost as if it's a new ant. You get a little nudge from God, and suddenly, not to say that I am, but if you're seeing this huge mountainous creature try to motivate you, and now seemingly she's home free. Until the rains start to take effect, it creates this type of barrier, this bubble. And now the difficulty sets in because the back of the ant is getting saturated with water. It's filling up. It ends up being the cause of something later, which I won't spoil. Now the ravine gets crossed. This one's proving challenging, but yet makes it through. Now the queen ant is continuing and waterlogged. You can tell very clearly waterlogged. Trying her best now just to drag basically this stone that's part of her body. And once again, Tchaikovsky is like right on cue. It's the strangest thing in the world, the way it's playing. Here's the leaf again, to try to motivate her. And I'm thinking she's going to go past the door here, and that will be the end of scene. And I'm trying to help her through it. I'm like, okay, go, 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 go. You got this. Come on. End of scene coming up. Come on, you got this. And where are you going? Oh no. Where are you going? Well, I guess we'll just have to see now. Yes. Oh, no. And as if on cue with the music, the next adventure begins. Look at that bubble type of, almost looks like a futuristic shield. It's trying to trudge through this water. Same music from the beginning is back. This is the first bit of music that we listened to in the beginning, and she's almost come full circle to where she was, which is wild. This is full-blown swimming, right on cue. And I'm thinking to myself at this point, all right, this is miraculous. This is like going on now for nearly 18 minutes. And I'm thinking this is the end. Like, belly up. Because the back end is just drawing her down. It's really sad. So once again, I know people are probably thinking, why? What do you think about the crucifixion? That was with a human being, with the Son of God. It's for perspective. I'm thinking, oh my God, going to make it. And then there's a turnaround. Probably in desperation and confusion. And at this point, I am literally shaking from what I'm seeing. Literally shaking. There's the cross. And then there's like this face in the clouds. If you look carefully as it zooms in after the music ends there, it's like an eye if you look carefully. As if it were watching the whole time. Just happened to zoom in to it. So that is the conclusion to the Crucifixion, or Mexican Beauty. Now, perhaps you're wondering why I would name it Mexican Beauty to start. And the reason why is because, first of all, let me just cue up. I'm going to cue up the next film. Oops. All right. So the reason why I called it Mexican Beauty is because of American Beauty. The film, there's a scene that's used a few times. It's referenced in the film where there is this plastic bag that's floating around. And it's caught by one of the main characters, played by Wes Bentley, in which he's just filming this bag float around for like 15 minutes. And I thought that this was one of those American Beauty moments. As tragic as it was a moment to capture. Now, Magdalena's Waltz, it's a bit of a departure. This was recorded about a week later, and it's several takes. I want to say less than 10. From 2 minutes, 30 seconds in until the end, it's one take. And I will be indicating to you when that begins. However, actually I won't be. Because this time through, I'm actually going to narrate the film because it's closed captioned. I want there to be narration with this now, and I'm going to post all of them so you can have like this quote-unquote trilogy available with my commentary, but also have this narrated, because I had written out the closed captioning thinking it would be fun for people to just read along, but it now will be nice to have my voice. I haven't read this since it was recorded, which is over 2 years ago. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to take it in stride. And then once the film is done and I'm done reading it, we will go back just for a quick recap, just so I can show you a few things that I think stand out as notable that perhaps you may not have seen in this viewing that you may be interested in knowing about, because I think that there are some pretty nice Easter eggs or just things that you may not, that you would take for granted if you didn't know the background or the story, that I think are useful in understanding the uniqueness of this film. So without further ado, this is Magdalena's Waltz, and I'm going to be narrating now. Have you ever looked at something and wondered what it is? It could be a wall protruding, a woman in a bikini, a point less reserved, one more confident, that finds itself free. To carry across the distance. Of here and now. To bring light, one must struggle and find use of its design, to watch the angles, how they appear and disappear, to find motion. When there would appear to be no tide, those forgotten angles have gotten in deep in this way of counting sheep. A stolen display of when angels weep. We crossed the line before we could take it away. Allow yourself to let it go so that you may live today. Here is thy angel. Do hear her speak. She says to you, I may seem weak, but you don't know the strength I seek. It is within the hearts of the meek and the shattered droves, the wandering eyes, the ferocity of the morning drive and wanting to do more than this. I promise you more, for more you promised to give. Have I not asked? Have I not wished? Have I not believed? Then show me. Show me a sign from God. Anything I won't have a problem remembering. Please, it can be anything. Just please show me now. Dear God, I feel your electricity. A welcoming of some forgotten source. A mind about to get hit hard with divine force. I am awaiting this. I cannot wait to receive. I shall not lust for results. I shall become one with this moment and open my heart to receive. What is this, a hummingbird? One that takes breakfast from the Virginia tobacco flower? This bird must consume its weight in food to come to live another day. I am grateful. Forgive me for doubt. Always grateful. And so that's the film. Now, I'm going to just go through, because it happens fast. We're talking about a 4-minute, 54-second short. And so just to give you an idea of what's going on, by the time this fades in, what I really liked, and we're now at 12 seconds into the video, just because I'm recording the audio separate, and it's more from my reference, but 12 seconds in, we're looking at the corner of a room. And what I noticed one day in between writing sessions, because I was writing, like I said, every day in this apartment for 3/4 of the year, every day, 10 pages a day, typewritten on a Smith Corona clipper. And I recalled taking a break between pages and looking at this wall corner, and how if you look at it with the right perspective, it almost looks like a miniature square where the corner is pointing out toward you as opposed to in. So the perspective could either be shooting out in a 3D cube-like fashion where we're looking at a corner of a cube, or you could be looking in at the corner. And then I thought to myself, well, this also looks like a bikini line, like there could be 2 legs and that kind of thing. And it was all these different types of images that could be right from this corner, which I thought was interesting. And so it zooms in and out, or it really goes in and out of focus, rather. It appears and disappears, and then it zooms out, and you catch a little bit of the fan above, and then there's a panning. And the play on words with this pan is that I went too far with the camera to where you see the door of the bedroom. It's just before it cuts. And it talks about, it alludes to going too far. Here is my daughter's dog, Milu. She's a Chihuahua, and the story behind her, we're now at 2 minutes, 3 seconds in. The story about her, which is wild, is that she was originally purchased as a miniature Chihuahua, so she was supposed to be one of those teacup versions that you could carry everywhere. She's small, but she's definitely a full-blown Chihuahua, and she's all attitude. And we have this unique relationship where I adore her and she adores me. The idea was talking about how there is one spirit within all of us, and those who are seeking connection with that one spirit find strength from within, and that's the actual search. And so by the time we're at 2 minutes and 26 seconds in, we've cut to the last scene. This is a continuous shot that I took one morning. As you can see, we're 2 minutes and 26 seconds in, and on the far left in the background, you'll see the sun rising. And I just thought that was a beautiful scene in itself, with the silhouette of the city. This is Centro Histórico in the middle of Mexico City. You can see the rooftops, and it's kind of a crazy situation where I was living on the top floor, so I could see some unique stuff just from the apartment window. You could catch like fireworks displays on Independence Day in September. You could see a lot of cool things happening, and also get the sunrise in a beautiful way. And that was just happened to be one of those mornings. And so here I was just filming this, and for some reason I felt this electricity in the air, like something was happening. And so I just felt the desire to pan. And as I started to pan, I was like, no way. Just like you saw, I could not believe my eyes. it was this incredible thing. Now, I typed in the closed captioning afterwards as a form of poetry. So I already knew what was going to happen on the video, like a director would know, but I wanted it to be a surprise for the viewer. And here is this beautiful, I have the color version of this, but I just thought it would be better in black and white. This is a green hummingbird, which represents abundance, transformation, rebirth, spiritual power, also represents the presence of spirit, someone who's passed that's now present. And you can see this hummingbird is actually taking nectar from the same tobacco plant that we saw in the Crucifixion short film just before this one. So the crazy story behind this Virginia tobacco is that I got the seeds in the United States. And so tobacco seeds, just to give you an idea, let's try to get closer to, yeah, this is a great perspective. So you can see the hummingbird up close taking the nectar from this flower. It's almost as if it's designed for the hummingbird to feed from it. With its proboscis, it can just reach right in and take the nectar, but it also has nicotine. So it's probably like an amazing plant for this hummingbird to get a little charge of energy. But beyond all that, you can see to the left of this flower where it's taking from the nectar, there are all of these pods. And these are the pods that have already been fertilized. And within each of those, when they're mature, they open up kind of like in the movie Alien when the pods open up. And then they just drop this dust, which if you didn't know what the seeds of the tobacco plant looked like, you would think it's just kind of shedding dust. But each and every speck of dust is actually a viable seed that has the potential to become one of these very plants, which is amazing. So with this cluster of pods that you see, there are probably tens of thousands, if not 100,000 tobacco seeds of this Virginia tobacco. And the way that this tobacco made it into Mexico, because you will not find this anywhere else, I gifted this to a friend before I left that this year. In 2021, I left to go back to the States after I got COVID, and I was just going through difficulties financially and otherwise. It was just very challenging health-wise. A lot of reasons for leaving. Even though there were times that were very blissful, like these moments were magical, it was very hard. And it's hard to live there alone. And I was only seeing my children one day a week. There were a number of factors that led to the decision. But what I'm trying to say is that this tobacco plant was a result of me taking those seeds and literally leaving the dust in between pages that I marked in a book that I brought with me to Mexico. So by the time I arrived, I opened up the book, the dust was still there. And I took that dust, and the way that you germinate the seeds is you have to make a bed of fresh soil that's really rich and saturate it with water with a water bottle sprayer. And then you sprinkle the seeds on top, right on the surface. And in a few days, they usually will take in a large amount of, like clusters of seeds will germinate. And then they require lots of humidity, which is hard to do. So you have to dome them in Mexico City because it's like super dry. It's hard to germinate these. You wouldn't be able to germinate them in open air unless you had some sort of dome that you could cover your pot with so that the seeds could take off with the humidity. And so I did, and they grew, and this is the result. So this plant had a few months to grow, went to flower, and it was the only flowering plant in the neighborhood that I could see that would be welcoming for this hummingbird. And so it was such a rarity for it to come around. And it was the first time that I had seen it was when I was actually filming in this moment. So it was just miraculous that it arrived. And what's most crazy about this, well, just let's watch it again. It comes in, takes the nectar, leaves, returns, flies directly in front of me, hovers, does some backward flight, which, by the way, hummingbirds are one of the only there are very few creatures that can fly in reverse, and hummingbirds are one that can fly in reverse. So it like hovers back, goes to take a little bit more nectar, and then it takes off. So let's watch this again. Just from that moment, moving forward. So let's go back. to where we see the entrance of the, okay, so 3 minutes, 35 seconds in, and here we go, we're rolling. So I'm capturing this and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm zooming in. I'm like, please stay, and I'm just like, that's the shot. Look at that. Let's see it take it one more time. It's just taking the nectar and rolling it back one more time. Oh, it's just so incredible to me. And I think that's it. But listen to how the music, by the way, this music, I'll just give you the description. This is music by John Lewis Grant with total gratitude, because I just dropped this in just like the Crucifixion, and it worked. It was like perfect. This was the moment because I was doing a continuous shot from 2 minutes and 30 seconds in. It just happened to land perfectly where I was like, I don't need to edit. The editing is done. Let's take a look at that one more time with the cue of the music ending. And it's just, to me, so magical. It's just getting a nicotine buzz. Plus the nectar. It's like sugar buzz and nicotine buzz at the same time. Like coffee and cigarettes in the morning. I think that's the end. I go back to the sun because I'm like, thank you, sun, you know? Just so grateful. But here it is again. Look at that. It's like literally 4 minutes and 15 seconds. It's literally eyeing me right up close saying, hey, man, this is the best breakfast I've had in my life. So I just want you to get a blessing. I mean, just crazy. It's like, thanks for a delicious breakfast. And now it's getting the nicotine high. It's like, oh. By the way, if you look in the background right here, we're 4 minutes and 30 seconds in, you'll see this long, stocky type of plant in the deep background that's resting against the wall. That's actually a plumeria tree, which it's one of my favorite plants. It's a flor de mayo, or plumeria, or frangipani. Those are the names. And they're the most beautiful blossoms. And those are the blossoms that they actually make a lei of to give you when you arrive in Hawaii. And I took that cutting from Calle Patriotismo, this dirty, dirty area of Escandondos, the second section of Escandon in Mexico City, this tree that everyone was neglecting. And it had the most beautiful white blossoms. I took 2 cuttings and they both took. I let them dry out. The way that you bring them to life, the frangipani, is amazing. You have to let the cutting dry to completion, and then you stick it in the earth and it takes. And this has growth. You can see the leaves are already starting to grow on top. And I left the frangipani there. It's my favorite, one of my favorite blossoming trees, and the aroma is incredible. And it's the same fragrance that you use for the incense Nang Champa, which is one of my favorites by Fred Saul. It's just an incredible incense. So I just thought I would point that out. And you can see down below to the left, there's the remnants of the Virginia tobacco. And then you see the blossoms on the right. And there it goes. And I'm looking at the sun and I'm thinking to myself, whatever that was, I'm just grateful. Like, so grateful of whatever that was that just happened. It was a moment that I don't even know what to do with. This was one of those instances that I captured and I thought, incredible. So before it jumps into the next video, which I don't want that to do because it's not one of ours, let's go back to my films here. And the last one I want to show you is Sister Midnight. Sister Midnight is another moment where I did a time lapse that was in the winter of last year. So it was towards the end of 2022, beginning of 2023 in New England. And I had done this time lapse where I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a dusting of snow. I could be wrong. Let's watch it because I haven't watched it in so long. But what's most impressive, I think, with this one, it's 6 minutes and 54 seconds. The thing that I find most impressive about Sister Midnight, and it has narration, so I'm going to let it go through so you can hear it. And then we'll do the same thing that we did with Magdalena's Waltz. I'll just come back and point out a few things that I think are special about the film. So let's just watch it from beginning to end. It's 6 minutes, 54 seconds. And then we'll come back and do a review of the film. So it's going to roll now.
You should know that when you wish upon the world,
So we're
listens. It seems to know how to breathe with us as we go through the motions of birth.
I mean, you can watch this.
And death.
I suppose I can talk over it.
Cyclical fashion that consumes all.
This is the time lapse, and this is me walking in the woods. Actually, my father filmed this. We're 30 seconds in. My dad filmed me walking in the woods here in New England.
These cycles of life that are unavoidable.
It's a little birdhouse on the tree there. And this is me walking toward my dad with a comic effect from iMovie, which I thought was appropriate.
Born with that stays with us for all time. The mysteries of life are endless in this way. So simple in how they repeat, so predictable.
That's so predictable, not protectable.
We come to count on these things.
We come to count. Okay, this is a full moon.
And then there's a moment
that I captured on the camera.
Can't be explained.
So this is the full moon being captured in the sky. To me, I thought it was like an alien ship.
What it is.
And I wanted to capture it. And then you get the lens flare, which is even wilder.
Surrounded by midnight. This place is a dream for everyone else.
It just kind of freaked me out. I couldn't believe
it stays with me through the day.
Capturing that full moon.
Follows me back.
This is a full moon toward the end of the year last year. That's not a light from a car or motorcycle. That's from the sky.
The past or the future.
And no special effects.
Like now.
It is tilted. The image is turned.
Like now.
Because it looked better that way, but there are no special effects. This is just what the lens picked up.
It always shall be. Eternity's bound. All of them one. With you and me. For the rest of time.
And this is it, the way I caught it in the sky. Where you saw it before, it was turned north and south, and there's east and west.
Never dying.
What's this? I don't even know what this is.
Never born.
That's funny. Didn't even know what that
alive.
Was. Just alive.
Active. Spiraling through the motions of
Spiraling through the motions. This is the Christmas tree.
The angels of the day.
The angels of the day, not the angels.
Crystalline figures of the night.
This is a painting that I took from a photo. There's a photo bash that I took from the inside of a crystal glass for wine.
Breathing.
And that's beer.
Wondering.
That is whipped cream.
Move beyond what it's already done. This life is a wonder. How could it be? Such beauty.
That's
such mystery.
The screen, and there's the glass.
Constantly on display.
That's actually a glass from my brother's place. It's not the same one.
It just seems to me.
That was a snifter for a delicious single malt scotch. Oh, here's the.
It must be God.
I forget what this fish is called, but this was in Hammonasset.
It just must be.
This is what's crazy about this. I came over to the window at Hammonasset in Connecticut, and it was wanting to interact with me. And it has these little hands. Look. And its friend was there. Now, if you look carefully, you will see there's another one that's actually under the sand, but it's on the left. Now watch this.
This willingness to share.
It waves hello. This is the craziest. I could not believe this, and I had it on film. It's waving hello.
Such promises are made.
And look at the eye on the left. You see the eye move? There's one right underneath the sin, and it took me editing to see that. I didn't even know it was hidden. But you can see the eye. You should go back. I'll show it to you again. Watch the eye. You're going to see it. It's waving.
Such promises are made.
There's the eye. You'll see it blink for a second or move. It dilates or something.
These things we can't explain.
So wild.
Have to be there.
Yep. Just have to be there. There's the wave.
Moment.
Yeah, this was special. It was a day of ham and acid.
Time, it all makes sense.
Here's a double rainbow from Lake Tahoe.
You've been here
I spent a week in Tahoe last year, right around this time, around Burning Man last year. This is New England,
this way.
But that double rainbow was a week before Queen Elizabeth II died. This is Lake Tahoe.
Enough to want to see it, to want to believe it.
And it was the craziest storm that happened. Everything was crystal clear for the week, and then on the last day,
is that not what God
I hadn't done any filming of the lake itself, and I came to the lake, and here was this double rainbow, and I was like, okay.
How could it be any different?
This is just, it was crazy.
We've always been here. This place has always existed.
And the rain was just
we are finally
coming through with just such grace, the light.
After all this time.
I've never seen anything like this rainbow before. And it was just a gift.
After all the exercise of memory. After all the little ties came together. You finally see the truth.
And so I pan over just to catch some of the light coming in from the clouds.
With everyone and everything.
Lake Tahoe is the cleanest water in the United States. It's because it receives so much snow. This is the beach area in North Tahoe.
One breath.
You can see the winds in the background. I thought that was really nice. I mean, the sands too are blowing. It was crazy, the weather that day.
Immortality.
And I felt grateful to have the moment to capture it.
For the sake of the dance of life.
This was just a canopy that was there, and I went and just got up close. So I still have a lot of that footage. That's the end of that. Yeah, I pretty much narrated most of what I would want to show. Anyway, that basically concludes. This is all taken, by the way. If you go to Immortal Type, you'll see I have a lot of things on here, from tarot readings to short films to typewriting. You'll see a wide variety of different things that are available. And I just wanted to show you these films because I think that they would be more appreciated with the commentary, so you can really kind of see it for what it is, which I saw as magical. And I have a lot of these magical moments from Mexico, to be honest, of seeing different things, interviews with people in the streets during the pandemic, capturing a lot of those moments during the pandemic, just really unique moments showing humanity and nature at work in magical ways. So this just gives you a little taste of it. If you liked this and liked the narration, we're almost an hour in, please do leave a comment and tell me what you would like to see more of, or maybe what you would like to see less of even. Your feedback is important to me. And I thank you for watching, because these are unique moments that happened in the city where my children were born. And it's a city that is very important and near and dear to me. As much as it's brought challenges, it's brought a lot of beautiful experiences. So thanks for watching and for being here and for being a part of this. And it's been a great experience just talking about this. I didn't expect it to go nearly an hour, but it's definitely time well spent to go through this. So please, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you know when I post, because it's intermittent and you can be here for when these videos hit and be a part of it. So thanks again.